Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Silver Hill Hospital's Development Committee Chair, Dr. Fred Feiner.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight is an evening to say thank you, to pay great tribute, and most importantly, to make hope possible. First, let us say thank you. Thank you to all of you for coming, and thank you for your generosity. For it is your generosity and the generosity that we hope that you will show tonight in this room that will make it possible for those who can't afford it to be able to have the wonderful treatments that we have for mental illness and addiction at Silver Hill Hospital. Thank you. Thank you to all who have made this event possible. To our development committee, our gala committee, our steering committee, to our honorary chair, Sadri Garakani, our co-chairs, Rob Minacucci, and again this year, Todd Hollander, and to our tireless, you bet, and to our tireless Director of Development, Lynn Travers. Thank you all. Tonight we pay tribute to Dr. Sig Ackerman. For the past 14 years, Sig has led Silver Hill Hospital. Under his leadership and with the help of Elizabeth Moore, our entire campus has either been renovated or completely rebuilt, making our 43-acre campus a more beautiful place for people to recover and for people to get well. With Sig at the helm, our transitional living program has become a model for other hospitals nationwide. Indeed, Sig Ackerman has written a glorious and new chapter in the illustrious history of Silver Hill Hospital. Sig, would you please stand so we may all pay tribute to your years of service? Finally, it is my great privilege to introduce to you tonight the new president and medical director of Silver Hill Hospital, Dr. John Santopietro. Nationally known as a brilliant psychiatrist, we have come to know John as a man who has great compassion for our patients and a great passion for family. We know that John will write his chapter in the history books of Silver Hill Hospital. Please now join me in welcoming to the stage the new president and medical director of Silver Hill Hospital, Dr. John Santopietro.
Hello. Wow. Fred, I can't say enough about what you have done, you and Lynn Travers, in putting this night together. I can't say enough, Fred, about what you have done for the hospital. You represent the mission and you represent the heart. I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank Peter Orthwine, our board chair, and I think I saw Beverly here with us, supporting us tonight, and as they always do. And I also, Fred, am filled with the same gratitude that you are for all of the people that have been so important to this evening, Todd and Rob and Sadri and the committees and all of our donors. So thank you for helping me with that. But what I really want to do in the next couple of minutes is give you a sense of what you're in store for tonight. So this is an extraordinary evening. You're really in for quite an evening. And when I was thinking about what words to use in describing that, there were three that came to mind. The first is hope, the second is voice, and the third is ripples. So hope, that's sort of the most straightforward of them all. It's on our gala material. It's what we're calling the gala. This is, in its end, ultimately, tonight is about giving hope to those that don't have it or that need it. And voice. Tonight, you are going to hear voices. Now, they're not the kind of voices that we would use to diagnose somebody. They are voices from people who have lived experience of suffering. And I am honored that those voices are with us tonight. They will be bringing us things from their heart to have an effect, and I am grateful for it. They're doing it for one reason and one reason only, and that's the third word, ripple. So tonight is going to send ripples far and wide, ripples of hope, ripples that will change lives, ripples that will save lives. I'm a big believer in the power of groups. Some of you are lucky enough to be sitting next to some of the members of my team here tonight, and they're probably getting sick already just in 2 months hearing me say that I believe in the power of groups to change the world. But I do, and we are a group tonight, and we are going to change the world tonight. You are going to change the world tonight, and I look forward to it. Now, I'm going to have a chance to introduce my good friend Kevin Hines a little bit later, but I wanted to just say a few words about Nile Rodgers. So, you want to talk about a voice? There's a voice. Nile is going to be bringing us his spoken word tonight, but you and I know he has been speaking to us for many, many years in other ways, using the voice of his art and his music and his guitar. Now, I was trying to think about a way that I could convey what that means to me. And what I want you to do for a moment is imagine you're not in this beautiful Cipriani's hall, but you're in a wide open field. And you're not surrounded by just 350 people, but tens of thousands of people. And I want you for a minute to listen with me and watch with me as we see Nile use all of his voices to talk to a group of people for the first time. Let's take a look.
So we go 1, 2, ah! Come on. Everybody, especially you in the Studio 54 shirt, come on. Let me hear you. Let me help you. Here we go. 1, 2,
So that, I think, is what you call changing the world. I'm incredibly, and by the way, I did promise Fred I would not take out my air guitar for that. So that's the only reason I didn't. So I am incredibly honored to be here with you tonight. I look forward to changing the world with you. In the meantime, enjoy your first course, enjoy each other, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Hello, all y'all. I'm Eleanor Caraway Knoll. 5 years, 3 months, and 29 days ago, I fell more than 20 feet head first into rocks and incurred a severe traumatic brain injury. To get to the heart of the matter, the biggest difference in life for me after my brain injury was my lack of emotions. Post-injury, I have no memory of what feelings arise when different experiences occur. In addition to the loss of my sensitive side, I have also had problems controlling my behavior, especially impulses, which has gotten me into trouble. A hidden blessing and a curse happened in September of 2011 when I was caught by the pharmacy for forging the prescription of a controlled substance. The only way charges would not be pressed against me was if I enrolled in a program for mental illness or addiction. After we found Silver Hill, I went in to be interviewed and the hospital agreed to take me. I was in a bad place when I arrived in New Canaan. I had lost all the independence I had slowly regained since my TBI. I could not control my emotions, and the most serious truth is, I didn't want to be alive when I got to Silver Hill. To this day, I consider myself having two sets of parents, one being my biological and step family, the other being my medical family. My mother is social worker Lisa Goldenberg, and my father is neuropsychiatrist Dr. Rocco Murata. They showered me with adoration while they worked to help me recover during my time at the hospital. Furthermore, Ms. Goldenberg taught me how to restrain my temper and is the key behind my having a relationship with my mother again. My mother, who is now my best friend. More than anything, what I gained from my stay at Silver Hill was an appreciation of life.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Rocco Murata.
I stand before you tonight with a heavy heart, full of love for Eleanor, as we remember her and also remember the wonderful times we had together. She graced this stage in 2014, and she told us all her powerful story of hope. Those who were with us that night will always remember that smile, that same smile that shines on the screen overhead, and still reverberates at Silver Hill through Michael's house and JB, where her spirit really exists. Eleanor brought so much joy into the lives of those around her. In December last year, she was in a tragic car crash and died from her injuries. We all miss her so very much. Please join me and the family in a moment of silence for our Eleanor and for all the others that we have lost.
So, voices. And I have to say, even being new to this family, how much that touches me and how grateful I am to have people like Dr. Rocky Murata on our staff, knowing that I would send any member of my family to him. So my job right now is quickly to give you an introduction to Kevin Hines. Now, Kevin and his lovely wife, Margaret, have been friends of ours for about 5 years, and they have changed our lives. Kevin, in his work, in his life's work, has not only added to my sense of urgency about what I do, but he has shown me the power of one voice to change the world. And I can tell you, his voice is in high demand, whether it's the Pentagon, whether it's a classroom. I've been with him speaking with a group of 10. I've been with him when he spoke to a group of 14,000. And his voice is changing the world. I'm so very thankful that he has decided to bring his voice here and share it with us. So please join me in welcoming Kevin Hines.
Are you okay? Is something wrong? Or can I help you? Those were the words that I desperately wanted to hear right before I catapulted myself over the rail. I have now lived 15 years past the day I should have died.
When you see a lot of mental illness being expressed, that's a clue that the culture is sick, not the person.
Hey, brother.
Hello, Kevin.
You were the first person to ever say, you know, Kevin, you should talk about this.
Our guest, Kevin Hines, plummeted 200 feet but survived.
Today, I travel the globe spreading a message of hope. Why? Because we know it helps people heal.
There's a huge opportunity as we talk about stories of survival to support people who are out there who are in pain.
Families of those who jumped from the iconic structure urged to stop the suicides.
One person goes to this bridge to die every 7 to 10 days.
I didn't know if you would wake up and be a vegetable. You go to Paris, go to New York, you go to Istanbul, there are suicide barriers. The more people that know about the horror of that bridge, the more pressure will be put to do something to stop it.
Will this really decrease suicides, you think?
They say things like, why ruin the aesthetics? What are the aesthetics of a bridge compared to one human life? And I've heard people say, well, hope is not an action plan. Well, it's a start. And if you can give someone who is hopeless hope, they can turn a corner. My name is Kevin Hines, and this is my story.
The morning was September 25th of the year 2000. I was 19, and I believed beyond a shadow of a doubt that I had not one other course to take but to die using these two hands. I believed I was a burden to all who loved me. I believed I had no value. I found myself on a bus in San Francisco in the very back seat in the middle row, crying like a child, hoping that one person would look to me and say, hey kid, are you okay? Brother, is something wrong? Or pal, can I help you? And I would have told that person everything and begged them for help. I yelled aloud on that bus at the voices I was hearing in my head, auditory hallucinations. And the only person to react aloud was a man to my left who said to a fellow next to him while pointing at me with his thumb while smiling, what the hell's wrong with that kid? The bus got to the Golden Gate Bridge parking lot. 100 people deboarded right there with their fanny packs from 1982 in the year 2000. Come on, who had one? Anybody? Come on. Who still uses one? All right. And their foreign accents from all over the world and their cameras that your kids wouldn't understand because they weren't phones. And they got off that bus and I was the last person sitting there crying, mucus dripping from my nose, hoping that the driver would see my pain. And he walked up to me and he said, come on, kid, get off the bus, I gotta go. I walked off that bus, heart heavy, heart palpitating, eyes red with tears. I walked across the 2-mile stretch of walkway that was the Golden Gate Bridge for 40 minutes crying like a child. Bikers, joggers, tourists, runners, police officers searching for suicidal people, they all went by me twice. I stood at a particular light rail, ready to delete myself from this world, and that's when it happened. A woman from my left approached me. She had blonde, curly hair and those sunglasses you ladies love to wear that do not fit your face. Something to think about. And she approached with a smile, and I thought, this woman is going to ask me if I'm okay. I don't have to die today. And then she pulled out a digital camera and said, will you take my picture? And she posed 5 times. Now, I believe that woman was in her own way trying to reach me, but I didn't see it. She walked away. I said in my head, absolutely nobody cares, but I was wrong. Everybody cared. Every member of my family, every one of my friends, my acquaintances would have been there to rip me from that rail to safety because they cared. My brain wasn't allowing me to care for me. My brain was trying to kill me as I desperately tried to cling to life. She walked away. The voices in my head said aloud, "Jump now," and I did. 220 feet, 25 stories at 75 miles an hour in 4 seconds. When you hit that water from that height at that speed, it is like hitting a solid. But that's not the important part of the story. The important part of the story is that at the millisecond that my hands left that rail and my legs cleared it, an instant regret from my actions and the absolute recognition that I had just made the greatest mistake of my life, and it was too late. Over 2,000 people have died at the Golden Gate Bridge in 80 years. For those people, it's been too late. 99% of the people that have gone to attempt there are gone forever. 36 have lived. 5 of us got the privilege to regain full physical mobility. 1 of 5. I fell in those waters. I went down 70 feet, but I shattered 3 vertebrae in my back. My legs were immobile. I swam to the surface 70 feet, only using my arms in excruciating pain. I broke the surface and I tried to scream for help, but all that came out, "Help me." My lungs had been impacted. A woman driving by in a red car saw me go over that rail, and she called her friend in the United States Coast Guard, who happened to be manning the waters of that bridge at that moment. The reason the Coast Guard got to my position in the water before I would set into hypothermia and drown was because of that woman. I know that story because my high school band teacher, Mr. Blount, came to the hospital to tell it to my family, a volunteer officer in that very Coast Guard unit. In the waters, I flailed to stay afloat, but was doing a terrible job. I kept going down, and that's when it happened. Something began to circle beneath me. Something large and slimy and alive. And I thought to myself, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't die off the Golden Gate Bridge, and a shark is going to eat me. I tried to punch it with my right wrenched arm, but it wouldn't go away, circling faster and faster. But it didn't bite. No longer was I wading in the water to stay afloat. I'm lying atop it, being kept buoyant by this creature, thinking to myself, well, this is a very nice shark. I mean, what would you do in that situation? I know what I did. I named him Herbert, because what else was there to do? Herbert the lifesaver. Oh my God. And this creature took off like a bat out of hell when the Coast Guard boat arrived. And I would learn after being on a show on ABC Primetime Live promoting a suicide prevention campaign in San Francisco a year later. I would learn from a man named Morgan who wrote into the show and said, "Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet from you when you jumped. No one to this day would tell me whether you lived or died until I watched this show. It's haunted me until now. And by the way, Kevin, there was no shark. Like you mentioned, you thought there was in the show, but there was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping your body buoyant until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. Now you can call that what you want, my new friends, but I call that a miracle." The Coast Guard saved my life. They got me to an ambulance. Ambulance got me to the hospital. A back surgeon, one of the foremost on the West Coast, wasn't supposed to be there that day. He opted to stay to do my surgery in a medical journal, the first of its particular kind. And he and his team are the reason I get the distinct honor of standing before you today. In the hospital, it wasn't easy. I went from a wheelchair to a walker and a back brace to a back brace and a cane, and then right into my first psych ward, because you can't just go home after that, all right? 7 psych ward stays in the next 11 years, all for suicidal crisis. But here's the kicker. After that 3rd psych ward stay, I got hip to the wise. I became self-aware. Those last 4 psych ward stays of 7, I walked to a family member, I walked to a friend, I walked to a loved one, and I said, I need to be in there, or I won't be here. Ladies and gentlemen, I live with chronic suicidal thoughts, but I maintain they will never take me. I will never again attempt to take my life so long as I shall live, because I've been given the gift of a second chance, and they don't come often. And so, today, I travel the world telling my story to any and every audience willing to listen, because I believe that hope really does help heal. And if you can find it in a sea of darkness, you can have purpose. And if you can have purpose, you can stay here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Silver Hill Hospital is doing so much work to save lives just like mine. And in my 7 psych ward stays, I had doctors and nurses and staff who gave me hope and a future every single time, just like you do. I've been given the gift of a second chance. I will not squander it. My new friends, remember this: yesterday is history. Tomorrow, it's a mystery, but today is our gift. That, my friends, is the only reason we call it the present. And if you don't believe me, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda 3 said that. And trust me, he knows what he's talking about. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is our gift. So I ask you, let us always and forever cherish this day and every waking moment of this gorgeous gift we all get to call life. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Johnny, and I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I am a member of the graduating class of 2012 at Silver Hill, and a very satisfied customer. And Silver Hill saved my life. And, well, they deserve the applause. I did very little. And Silver Hill saved my life. And I will spend the rest of mine trying to give back and make these scholarships available for people. But before I introduce Nile, I wanted to just say thank you for Dr. Sig Ackerman, who personally, without him, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, Dr. Ackerman. I was excited to be here and asked to introduce Nile, because Nile and I go way back, both in the music business, and it means the world to me to introduce him tonight to accept the award. I can think of no one more deserving. But before I list some of his accomplishments, and by the way, if you have nothing to do one day, you have about an hour and a half, read Nile's Wikipedia page. You've never read anything like it. I'm going to give you the 20-second version of Nile's Wikipedia page. He's the co-founder of Chic, one of the most successful bands of the disco era. He has collaborated, written, and produced everyone, including Diana Ross, David Bowie, Madonna, Duran Duran, Britney Spears, Robert Plant, Mick Jagger, and more recently, Daft Punk, Pharrell Williams, and Lady Gaga. He's responsible for Sister Sledge, We Are the Family, Diana Ross, Upside Down, I'm Coming Out, David Bowie, Let's Dance, thank you, Madonna, Like a Virgin, Material Girl. And more recently, to prove his relevance, he collaborated with Pharrell Williams and Daft Punk to do the Song of the Year and Decade a couple of years ago called Get Lucky. Well, we're lucky to have him here tonight. Oh, in addition, 2017, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's also a humanitarian. In 2001, he founded the We Are Family Foundation that supports and nurtures creative young people who do amazing things. But the thing I love most about Nile is his lack of anonymity. Nile is always there, never ashamed, and very proud to admit he's sober. And very, very proud to admit that he is a graduate, a satisfied customer of Silver Hill. So with that, I'm going to reintroduce John Santopietro, who will present Nile with this award.
So Nile, please accept this visionary award for all that you have done to break down stigma and to inspire others using your voice and your many voices Congratulations.
Thank you. But I do want that back. Hi there. So I liked Silver Hill so much that they actually kicked me out. Totally true story. When I checked into Silver Hill a little over 23 years ago, they said that this is a 28-day program. Well, I stayed there for 8 months. And finally, after 8 months, they told me, you know, Nile, this is what we call short-term recovery. You're not supposed to live here. And I was actually afraid to go back out into the regular world because to me, the world that I lived in, I was sort of like the king. You know, I could like walk into a studio and it was like, wait, Nile's back. The Coke is gonna flow, the champagne is coming. And I didn't want to go back to that world. And this is exactly how I left Silver Hill. Totally terrified, did not want to go back to the recording studio. But what happened is I got a phone call from Michael Jackson. Hello, Nile? Yeah, Michael? I'd like you to come to the recording studio and work on my new album. And I was like, the last place in the entire universe I wanted to be. I mean, the recording studio, for me, I'm telling you, we were completely out of control. There was no one to, well, I don't want to go into the back to the dark side. But anyway, so I said to Michael, all right, here's what I'm going to do. And you can only do it on these terms. You got to send a limo up to Silver Hill for me. Drive me down to the recording studio. The limo's going to wait downstairs. And when you need me to come up and play, I'm going to run upstairs and play. And as soon as you okay it, I'm going to go back downstairs and get in the limo and go back to Silver Hill. He was like, what is Silver Hill? I didn't know how to explain it to him. And I says, well, Silver Hill is a place where I'm now in what they call the day program because they didn't want me to spend the night there anymore and blah, blah, blah. I went into this whole thing. The day program, what is that? I said, don't worry about it. Just those are the terms. So Michael agreed to it. I went there and I played and I went home and I felt like, oh my God, I actually can live in the real world. I don't have to be afraid of life anymore because the drugs no longer controlled me. I was actually in control. I could say yes or no. I could tell Michael Jackson no. Like, wow. I was like, that felt so empowering to me. It was awesome. He had to call me 3 times to get me to say yes, right? It was like, how do you say no to Michael Jackson? But I did. But anyway, so when Johnny says Silver Hill saved my life, not only did it save my life, it actually gave me my life back. It really did. No, thank you. Before I went into Silver Hill, I had sold millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of records. I had probably, you couldn't have had a more amazing career than mine, especially because I came from such humble beginnings. I'm born right here in New York City, Lower East Side. My first job was working for Gus the Pickle King and Leopold Zippin and all these guys downtown. It was like, hey, no, come on, there's a Gus the Pickle King. I was like, I'm a real Lower East Side. My stepfather is Jewish. We were like those guys. We were like, we were just poor, but we thought we could just do anything. And because I had such a great background and such a great family, when I finally got into the music business, I thought that I was invincible, and drugs and alcohol really intensified that part of my personality. So when I got to Silver Hill and I learned how to listen, which was the most amazing thing that I learned how to listen, and I learned how to just be amongst people and don't worry about what they thought about me. because all my life I had sort of worried about what people thought of me. And all I want to say is that I am so honored to be here, so happy, because I never knew how to give back to Silver Hill what they gave to me. I would always think to myself, Jesus, you guys have the most thankless jobs in the world because we bug the hell out of you. We stay here, we take all your time, we consume all the oxygen out of the room, and then we leave, and you never hear from us again. So when they asked me to do this a year ago, I actually wanted to come here with my band and perform, but unfortunately, I've just had surgery, and my doctor says, you can't lift a guitar right now. So I didn't know how to not come because this was way too important to me. So I decided I would just come, tell you a little bit of my story, and hopefully you guys will understand why I'm not performing tonight and give me a pass, and maybe I'll come back next year and perform. So, thank you. Anyway, I know I suffer from being really long-winded, so I'm going to get off the stage now. And I'm not a good auctioneer or anything like that, but I'm just saying from the bottom of my heart, unfortunately, I just drove down and I didn't see what was going on, but I know that at every gala, because I have a charity, that it's the most important thing is not only for you guys to understand the cause, but it is to help them raise money so that they can do what they do. So I just want to say, I'm going to make a little matching fund here. I'm going to, since I can't pay, since I can't play tonight and get paid, I'm actually going to kick in 10 grand to Silver Hill. If somebody would match me, that would make me feel like $1 million. Anybody, just even a whole table, $1,000 a piece, you will? And you too, sir? Wow, look at that. You guys just made 30 grand in like a second. Anybody else gonna match us? Us three gentlemen? Thank you so much. Thank you, Silver Hill. Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that I don't even know exactly what to say. Nile, that is incredibly inspiring, and thanks for doing even a little bit of auctioneering up here. For those of you and us that are still motivated by what Nile just did, you actually have pledge cards at your table. Feel free to fill them out. We'll collect them afterwards. And for those of you that are really tech savvy and have figured out the text way to give a pledge, you can do that as well. So I just want to say, you know, here's my voice. My voice has been actually pretty minor tonight compared to that, and compared to Kevin, and compared to what we have heard throughout the night. But one thing my voice can do is tell you that we have raised $1 million tonight. So on behalf of Silver Hill, on behalf of the board, on behalf of the incredible staff that work for us, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all that you did tonight. Thank you very much. A round of applause for everybody. And to close us out, I can tell you that the chapel is going to be open for dancing, and you know we're going to be playing some of those songs that Nile has been involved in. So for the few of you that have not been binge listening to Nile and Chic these last several weeks, You're welcome to join me and my group as well out there. So again, thank you to everyone. And one more, before I forget, Lynn Traverse, where are you? Because I can't see up here. Lynn, this would not have been possible were it not for you and all of your hard work. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and please get home safely. Thank you, and have a good night.